Hello and welcome everybody to My Finance Teacher on YouTube. I hope everybody's having a nice day. Today is 10th of March 2018. I hope everybody's having a nice weekend. We are now talking about Bitcoin, and over the last couple of days there have been a lot of bad news about Bitcoin. Banks talking down Bitcoin, and Japanese authorities closing down cryptocurrency exchanges, enforcing some regulation on those exchanges, and a lot of bad news about Bitcoin have come out over the last several days. As a result, Bitcoin has lost quite a lot of value. As you see on the chart, over the last several days, Bitcoin dropped from around 12,000 all the way down to it has even touched 8,000. It has even touched 8,000 over here yesterday, or maybe nearly touched 8,000. What was the low here? Nearly touched 8,000, 8,300. So that gives us about a 30% drop in Bitcoin price. But we are fine. In crypto world, we are used to 30% drops every now and then. Unlike the drops that people expect on the stock market. In late January, early February, with a 10% drop in the stock market, investors in the stock markets have been panicking quite a lot, but that's not the topic of the video now. Looking at Bitcoin here, what we see is this here. The candle yesterday looks like a reversal candle, a doji candle. So a reversal of this downtrend over the last several days is very likely. Bitcoin is likely to go up from these levels. And let's talk about some more factors besides this reversal itself for this potential rally in Bitcoin over the next couple of weeks, I guess. So firstly, this reversal candle looks nice on the chart. Secondly, price has came down to this 200-day moving average, the purple line, and often that is a support zone for many financial assets. And I think in this case, this 200-day moving average is going to act as a very nice support zone for Bitcoin. Again, that's another factor for an upcoming rally in this cryptocurrency. Another factor that I see here is over the last year and a half or so, Bitcoin has been following cycles that generally last for a couple of weeks. We've talked about them in our previous videos. I recommend you check that. However, since we've been in this downward move since the beginning of 2008 or even since the end of 2017, we might look at a possible change in our cycles. It seems to me that temporarily at least they have shortened. For example, we sort of see a cycle. Where do we see a cycle? Over here. That lasted for 3.5 weeks. We sort of see a cycle here that lasted for about 3 weeks. We sort of see a cycle here. And I expect a new cycle, a new advance, bringing a rally in Bitcoin. So this cycle that I think has just finished lasted for about 4.5 weeks. So that sort of gives us monthly cycles. That's another reason why I expect a rally in Bitcoin over the next probably a couple of weeks. One more thing to look at is this downtrend line, this straight line downtrend line that has been established in late 2017, and Bitcoin has not really been successful in breaking out above this downtrend line. What happened a few days ago is sort of questionable. Can we consider that a breakout or not? If we sort of make this downtrend line relatively vague, then what happened a few days ago might not really be considered a breakthrough above this downtrend line. However, I do expect this downtrend line to be broken. Once that happens, that's going to be some sort of a positive news in relation to the Bitcoin chart, bringing in some potential capital into this asset. So that's another factor contributing to a possible rally. And another interesting part here on the chart is this RSI. So as I mentioned, compared to what happened last week, our cycles have gotten shorter a little bit. So I'm looking at a relatively shorter RSI. If you remember from my previous videos, I used to look at 10, 14 day, 10, sometimes 14-day RSI. Now I'm looking at 8-day RSI. Of course, you adjust your indicators to be able to catch the buying and selling points for the financial asset. Looking at the 8-day RSI over here at the beginning of this cycle, RSI is almost at oversold levels. It's oversold over here. And that, of course, could have been sort of a nice point to buy. It's been deeply oversold over here about a month ago. Of course, that was a nice point to buy at prices below 6,000 or around 6,000. And looking at RSI at the moment, it's been very, very close to oversold levels, the 8-day RSI. So again, that might indicate a local minimum for the price and a relatively higher prices to come. Moving on, what do I expect from Bitcoin price? Well, there is a resistance zone, as you see, at about 12,000. And Bitcoin has failed to break through this resistance zone a couple of times already. Additionally, somewhere around that level, there is a 100-day moving average, this blue line, which also is going to prove to be some sort of a resistance. So over the next couple of days, a couple of weeks, I expect Bitcoin slowly to rise to that resistance zone of around 12,000. We might see a pullback from that resistance zone, giving us sort of a half cycle low as we saw here. Let me move the chart a little bit. And after that, I hope Bitcoin is going to break through and go to prices close to 16,000 or so. So I expect some volatility over the next few weeks between these 200-day and 100-day moving averages. And I think this period of volatility is going to end with a break above the 100-day moving average and with a price target close to 16,000. Why do I have this price target? Well, it's because I see this sort of inverted head and shoulders formation on Bitcoin chart. So I guess sort of we have an extended right shoulder. And the height of the head here, let's say this is 6,000, this level. And this level here is, what is it? Say 11,500. So that gives us a height of about 5,500. And once this neckline is broken, often what history tells us is that price target is this height above this line that is going to be broken. So if we add 5,500 to around 11,500, what we get is numbers somewhere close to 17,000. So I hope Bitcoin is going to inch over 16,000 over the next couple of months. And if we have a price target of around 16,500 or so, what we see is there is one of the recent highs at the price target just at 17,000. There is another recent high at 16,300. So what I'm trying to say here is, what I'm trying to say here is that price target actually works well with this potential resistance zone. Somewhere between 16.5 to 17,000. If that is a resistance zone, then a price target taking Bitcoin to that resistance over the next several weeks might be a valid price target. Going in even further into the future, of course, it's hard to say what's going to happen to Bitcoin, but of course, often price cools down after reaching a resistance zone. So we'll see what's going to happen, and I'm quite curious about your opinion. I'd be interested to see your opinion in the comments below. Thanks for your attention.